Howdy everyone, welcome back to another art game. It has been a little bit since the previous one. I don't like these being too frequent as I'm asking a lot of free time from the artists. I don't want to accidentally burn them out, or burn myself out at the same time. Though after a few months, we were all itching to jump back in with another round of the trait game. Rapid fire rules explanation, just to catch everyone up to speed. If you want more details, click here for the previous video where I go more in depth. Each artist is handed the same character and 3 traits from a list of nearly 70. Every single person is tasked with modifying the character with the traits given, or at least as many of them as they can add in. That artwork is handed off to another person who has to redraw the character without knowing the traits or anything like that. Finally, that last piece of art is handed off to a third person where they have to try to guess what the traits were used from the first person's artwork. So let's dive in. This is the character that I made for the game. Samantha. She's short, spunky mouse that uses a lot of purple and yellow, teal glows and extra effects if the artist kind of want to add something extra in, or if they kind of want a reason to do a certain thing. Like the previous character for the previous game, I wanted the design to be overall simple so that any changes people made would actually show up really well. Then people didn't have to like remove stuff from the character in order for their traits to show through. Lots of care and attention was spent to make her as kind of as simple as I could do. The first artist we have here is Scott, who is handed yellow, fungi, and 90s. I don't feel as though the yellow is super well portrayed in this one, like it's just in the hair and just the spots. In fact, I actually didn't know the spots were yellow until I was editing this video. However, everything else in this I really appreciate. The outfit isn't your typical like, whoa, 90s, bright neon, high contrast colors that, kind of look gaudy as heck. There's something you would actually kind of expect someone in the 90s to wear, specifically like how it's worn too. The tail sprouting oyster mushrooms, it's got me feeling uneasy, gonna be honest. However, that just shows that it actually, kind of works. This artwork was handed off to APPLESMITH, who freaking animated the thing. We always have someone that overachieves, don't we? Not them complaining. It looks great and it shows that they're trying to experiment. Plus the shirt is more attached, which I feel is better for the rating of this video. I don't see anything here that's actually wrong to the character whatsoever. So like, rock on Apple, you did well. However, it comes down to what the guesser sees out of this. This art piece was handed off to ARENOVAS to try to guess what the traits were. And they went with yellow, 90s, and oceanic. Near miss, but good show. I'm actually really surprised that yellow made it through. I guess that's just kind of me for not superseding the yellow, I suppose. I can't really fault oceanic, as those mushrooms could easily be misunderstood as shells. I guess Apple maybe should have popped them off of the tail a bit more than like had them flat along the tail. However, I think that, all this was a really good guess overall. So rock on, great job everyone for the first round. And as an aside, I was shown by ARENOVAS that I have oceanic and ocean as options in the trait list. I thought I removed one of those before the very first game, and this is the same list, so it makes me feel like I may have removed something I should not have removed. I don't count it against anyone if they guess oceanic and it's ocean, just so that's clear, but gonna update that for the future. Sorry. Up next is APPLESMITH. They got handed robotic, sweet, and rock, which kind of go against each other in a way. Like rock and robotic, how do you make it sweet then? I think they did pretty well with it, however. A rock-themed robot with fruits patterned on them. Nice. I appreciate how the eyes are still the teal color and the joints are the purple, really trying to keep the original character consistent in some way. In a sweet irony, Scott actually got Apple's art to redraw. I swear as a randomizer I used, it just decided they should swap. I had no say in that. Anyways, Scott definitely didn't go so hard on the line work like Apple did, but everything is here. In fact, I like to think that the expression is more evil or sinister than before, which for a rock robot makes a lot of sense. A good translation of the previous art. But let's see if that's good enough for 8 to guess properly. Robotic, sweet, and rock. We got a full correct guess on the second one. People are better guessing this than I thought. Congrats to everyone here for making this one work. Just kind of a smooth translation straight through. Well, 8 had some fun. They added in toothy and possessed to Samantha. They also had majestic, but that's a bit of a hard one to justify with possessed. since Majestic is usually seen as good and Possessed is usually evil. However, with Toothy and Possessed alone, I think we have a fantastic piece of art. Also, really nice leaning on the mouse nature of Samantha in order to expand the front teeth a lot. It feels good to see people using the original character in interesting ways and incorporating it into the traits a bit like that. It's a minor thing, but I do feel like what's here works super well. ARENOVAS got handed this piece, and I feel maintained it appropriately. We got all the elements that are important. Big toothy smile, possessed eyes, a murderous look, suddenly a knife, though the knife does seem like a step closer towards killing us, so I guess that's a good thing, right? ARENOVAS art piece was handed off to Scott, who guessed Toothy and Madman, which I can absolutely see. But I mean, come on, Scott, it's not a man, so why would you guess Madman? Like that doesn't kind of make any too much sense. Anyways, the smile I feel sells the character super well, and I'm happy that that was maintained into the final guess. I could see an addition of more ghostly-like elements might help with the possession side of things, though normally that's demons, so possibly horns? But devilish is a trait too, so it's a fine line between multiple options, and it's kind of where the game of this game comes into play. Nonetheless, good showing for all of you. ARENOVAS, you drew the previous piece, so let's go with you next. You were handed Holy, Advanced, and Desert. Yeah, I can see all these here. The religious white outfit, the headdress typical of some desert dwellers, the eyewear protecting them from the sun, and maybe let them scan for items of interest while journeying. I think I'd like to see a bit more tech on them, but advanced doesn't mean it has to be sci-fi, super futuristic. It can just mean that there's a few pieces of technology to show the advancement. Outfit might confuse people away from desert though, as it could be seen as a normal nun outfit, but slightly modified. We'll have to see how it carries over. ARENOVAS art piece was handed off to KISTUNA, who did her thing and made it a larger, detailed piece without adding in or removing anything on the character. The only thing here that's different is that she has paw pads now, and the background isn't orange anymore. It's got a much more combat feel to it, but I like to think that's actually not inaccurate to the world kind of implied here, just kind of based on my first impressions of the previous piece. Don't ask me why, I just feel like they probably learned Kung Fu or something. It's a great continuation. Apple got handed Kit's art to guess and gave me Holy, Blind, and Futuristic? I mean, 1.5 points, eh? Extra half point for how confused they seemed over text. Holy was maintained, but I have a hard time thinking it wouldn't be with the cross on the neck. Blind and Futuristic really leans on the face tech, and I can see the logic there. We might have been able to keep Desert with a face veil, or if Kit had kept the background orange, possibly, though just an orange background would have really been hard to read as Desert. Still, I think that the character looks lovely, and y'all did a good job on maintaining them. KISTUNA is up next. They were handed Oceanic, Gender Swapped, and Wizard. I like to think they were all added in pretty freaking well. Wizard hat, staff, and robe all feel like they were made out of elements of the sea. He's obviously male now, and there's no mistaking that he's a freaking wizard. Nice one with redesigning the character, Kit. There's not too much more I can say on that. However, I do have a bit of an apology to make here. It seems that the person who was going to redraw the character was beset by work and school and was unable to actually make it at all, let alone in time. So I'm actually going to take a moment here just to say that, this happens, life gets busy. At the same time, if anyone watching this decides to join in the game in the future, please be sure you pace yourself in the 2 weeks that I give you well, and try to continue if you're able to join in for the first round. The game kind of requires that everyone who plays in the first round keeps going for the second one, as the art's just passed around the group of the people who completed the first round. If you know you're not going to make it on time, then let me know, and I can try to find an artist to fill in and keep it going. I would have loved to see this character redrawn and seen how all this detail might have been misunderstood, but sadly we won't get a chance on this guy. However, I was able to find someone to fill in for the guess, passed Kit's art over to Draconic Dusk to guess the traits, and he went with Oceanic, Gender Swapped, and Fantasy. Pretty freaking good if you ask me. Wizard and Fantasy are purposefully put in to be similar, so no shame there whatsoever. And I think Kit did an absolutely fantastic job of keeping the ocean vibe really obvious and just kind of making the character fully feel fleshed out from what was handed to her. Nice job. The last artist we have here is NEALE, who had Carnival, Pumpkin, and Mad Scientist as their traits. Now, sadly, I did have to talk NEALE into removing Carnival from the traits to carry on to the next round, as it was only represented in the background. I really wish we could have kept it since the piece was looking fantastic, but I don't want people in the future rounds to have to draw more than they agreed to for the game. Like, settings and backgrounds are nice extra and give a lot of flavor, but they shouldn't be required for anyone later on to draw in order to know what the traits were. So we only have Mad Scientist and Pumpkin, which I really love. Like, we have the obvious pumpkin and carving stuffs, but the character has this outfit and huge dorky glasses. And I like to imagine for a country girl scientist, the type that'd go to like a state fair or pumpkin carving contest. Like, you know, the type of girl that has this huge radar dish on top of her barn house and spends most of her nights looking out her window with a huge telescope. It doesn't feel so mad to me, other than how absolutely into carving that pumpkin she is, but that's not really for me to guess, no, is it? 8 got handed this art piece to draw and really kept all the elements I felt important. Even kept the carving as a cat, which was a super nice touch. In fact, if anything, I like that it's even more detailed. Takes someone a bit crazy to focus that much on cutting up a pumpkin, huh? Like, especially the tiny little areas there. Honestly though, this character chain is just adorable to me, and I can't fully place why. Like, it's just super cute. I love this version of Samantha. 8, you did a great job keeping the character proper. 8's piece was handed over to KISTUNA to guess, and she went with pumpkin and 90s. You know, I feel like 90s isn't too wild of a guess, actually. You know, that movie stereotype from like old 90s movies of like the country high school scientist. It was kind of a prevalent thing from what I remember. I don't know how much it could be more mad scientist without like modifying the pumpkin in some major way, like make it mutate into a monster or something like that. But I like cute Samantha just having a good day carving a pumpkin. Anyways, half the traits were kept, and that's pretty good in my book. And that's everybody. In the end, we got 10 out of the 16 traits used. Not bad, or 50% guess rate. Again, thank all of you for participating in this game. Links to every single artist is in the description below, and for anyone watching, like and subscribe as we have more of this coming up in the future. I'm going to give everyone a break just before we jump into anything like this again, because got to prevent burnout, and also I think a lot of them actually paused projects of theirs to participate. Seriously, thank you all so much for taking the time out of your schedules to actually work on this. If any viewers out there are, enjoying this and kind of want to see more, you can actually watch the previous art game where we modified a maned wolf gal named Tess. There's a lot more people who actually participate in that one, and she got kind of crazy in a few, so this is definitely worth a watch. As well, the whole list of traits and rules are in the description of that video if you kind of want to play at home with your friends. Modified with the OCEANIC thing too, don't worry, those changes are made. Anyways, I hope you have a lovely day today, and we see you around. Goodbye.